Hi, everyone. Welcome to Back in My Day. I am JPC, and I wanted to start this podcast because I get some questions in Discord and streams and DMs sometimes, which could potentially be of use to many, many others. This medium allows me to formulate my answers with more structure and deliver them with thought and intent. Additionally, I get to take some reps at storytelling. So hopefully you enjoy the material, the wisdom, and me experimenting with podcasts on YouTube. Today, I want to discuss my practice routine, which will include a little bit about the why of it. Then we'll go into the what and how of it. And finally, a little bit of a forward look at where I'm trying to get to within my routine. I love caveats, so let me throw one in here. Obviously, my experience is my experience, and what I'm doing may not be for everyone. We all grow and develop at our own speeds and in our own methods. So, if my routine and perspectives are not for you, hopefully they can send you in the right direction so you can find your own path. As with everything I do, I welcome feedback and suggestions, or even just alternatives that others may want to try looking into. All right, that's it for the prep. Let's get into it. To start, I said I would talk about the why of the practice routine. For the most part, that all starts with meeting woohoojin. So let me give you a little bit of background into myself, my experience before meeting woohoojin, and then kind of how that all started and why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So a lot of times people talk about gaming experience. So I played games like Call of Duty. Um, I played Counter Strike a long, long time ago, back in like 2000 or something like that. But I never played ranked. I never played competitive. I never challenged myself. So it was always me and my brother running around trying to knife people or things like that, right? We were playing for the memes and the laughs, not for improvement. So taking that into consideration, the context also with Call of Duty was always on console. In something like a team deathmatch or whatever. It was never. Uh, I think it's Search and Destroy is their game mode that is one of their game modes that is competitive. Anyway, I never played ranked when it comes down to it. I do have some FPS experience, but again, like I said before, limited in terms of improvement or trying to improve. Um, Personally, my mentality around practice, though, I do have a little bit of an advantage there. When anything I've ever done, I've always found a way to enjoy the practice. So DMs, for example, I know a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but I see a number of people disliking DMs. But if somebody tells me do X number of DMs a day and do it this way, and you'll improve, then there's a part of my brain that absorbs that. I'm just going to jump into it and do exactly what that person said. That was the case with anything in my youth and through my 20s and 30s. If there was something I wanted to learn, I found a way to again practice it. You can't do anything, you can't develop anything, you can't grow at anything unless you put effort into it. Even the most talented people have to practice something. So there is a piece of me that loves practice, and I think that there is some um, quality to that love that allows me to be able to improve at things, anything that I put my mind to. That being said, I know that I can be good at anything I put my mind to if there is a practice routine or a training routine that um, is not, for lack of a better word, pointless, right? So if I went into the range and I hit practice bots and the bots just kind of popped up and I just shot practice bots nonstop, I'm not going to improve at the game. So if somebody told me to do that and do that for 20 minutes every day, uh, I would have done it, right? And then I would have found out that it didn't work. So I would have stopped eventually, right? So, and I think that that's where the mentality comes from. If I can feel that improvement, I'm going to keep doing it, and then I'm going to start doing it more and more and more. Um, there was a week or two early when I was in silver that I was doing 15 to 20 DMs a day because I was told if you do this many times a day, you'll improve. Well, I blew that out of proportion, and I no, that's not the right term. I maximized that opportunity, and I felt the improvement, so I kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. Right. So just understanding that I didn't mindlessly do stuff. I do have to feel improvement, but an expert has to tell me how long that's going to take. And then if that becomes true, I'll be a loyal subject for life. You clearly know what you're talking about, and we'll work through any challenges that I have. I guess from that next perspective, I kind of already talked about it, but talking about my experience with Valorant so far, I originally placed Silver One back in November. Um, One major caveat is I picked up Valorant before I met woohoojin, and I was playing unrateds every night with the sole effort of trying to learn the maps, trying to learn the agents, and I wasn't going to play competitive, well, ranked. I wasn't going to play ranked. Yeah, I guess competitive too. Ignore me. Until I had 500 games. So I actually did play 500 games of unrated, but I also wasn't going to play until I had locked every agent and understood what they did, how their abilities worked, and I knew which ones I liked. So there was definitely a default learning experience that I was starting with. And then I placed Silver One. I immediately lost, I think it was 6 games. I deranked to Bronze 3. I won my next game, and I said, nope, pause. I started looking around for coaches, coaching streams. I found multiple Joel's, OD, woohoojin, and I kind of joined the streams, and I would watch and I would interact and I would get a feel for them. And OD and woohoojin were the two that um, really stuck out to me there, and I enjoyed kind of their way of explaining things. And again, they had these structured processes that I could follow. Beyond that, ultimately, what I ended up doing was joining their Discord servers and interacting within that. And woohoojin and I were talking. Well, actually, all of our his subscribers were talking, and there was a conversation about content and what types of content could would be interesting. And one of the jokes that I threw out at the time was, "How about you take a boomer to Radiant?" We all had a good laugh about it, and then a couple days later, he DM'd me, and we started to discuss: is that possible? Is that something that one, I have the time that I can dedicate to it, but then two, where am I at? What's my baseline? Where are things at? And we agreed if I could show him that I could play 2 games a day, every day for 2 weeks, that I was able to manage my time to do that, then we would take that next step. And ultimately, we did. He essentially gave me the what ended up being the gold in a month routine, or the gold routine, and I was able to accomplish those things. And um, I went from silver one to silver two within that first 2 weeks, just from pure consistency, which is another thing woohoojin really drives home, is playing consistently. So just from playing consistently, I went from silver one to silver two, and then I was stuck in silver two for a period of time, and a lot of that was the mechanics of the gold routine that I hadn't mastered yet, or I wasn't even a novice yet at, right? I was just so bad at it. But by the end of episode 5, which was, I think, early January, I had gone from silver 2 to gold 3, um, through woohoojin's coachings, and the goal in the Boomer to Diamond series, where I was getting additional feedback weekly, um, based off of the gameplay. Um, the best thing about the Boomer to Diamond is I'm not really getting live coaching. I'm playing on stream. He will at times throw in a feedback here, throw in some ideas here. Hey, try this. But for the most part, it's just me playing, him recording or clipping, and then giving me feedback afterwards. So a lot of the progress that I've made has been on my own. I joke with him that I'm just walking in the direction that he's pointing, um, that he's doing like literally all the work, but then he jokes back with me that no, I'm actually doing the walking, he's just pointing. So we're both agreeing that it's equal effort, I think, on both sides, but I can't say enough how much his direction is the kicker to all of this. Um, Episode 6, they had the reset. So I went from gold 3 down to silver 2 because of the reset. And then by the end of the first act of episode 6, I hit platinum 1 and I'm now sitting at platinum 2. So um, if you add up the levels, technically I've gained 1100 RR, including the rank reset, of course, since meeting with Hujin. So that's kind of where I'm at and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, which I'll discuss in the next part, in terms of my practice routine. And I think the basis to all of this is consistency. So regardless of what I'm doing, it's not that I'm doing it, it's that I'm doing it consistently and I'm feeling and experiencing the improvement. Um, as I'm going through them. And again, if something's not working for me, I will either stop doing it or I'll modify it and I'll try to find a way to make it work. And then continuously having those conversations with Woohoojin um, about, uh, I'm doing this. Should I do it this way to make sure that, again, the expert is informing the student that they're doing the practice correctly. So next, I want to talk about kind of what I'm doing. Start a little bit with the how I warm up and how I prep myself for each practice routine. Um, can't stress enough that the practice routine itself is not a warm up. It's not to be done in preparation for comp play. It's meant to be done in its own separate process, hours away from comp play. Similar to when I was in high school and we played football games on Friday night. Well, we didn't do practice before the game on Friday night. All of our practice was earlier in the week. Um, Obviously, we're not doing one comp game a day, so but I set up my warm ups. Sorry, I set up my practice routine to be directly after work when I can do that. I plan on doing a time management or how I schedule my busy life to keep up the routines at some point. But suffice it to say that I do the practice routine after work, which is usually between 5 and 6. And then I play my comp games after 8:30. So there's a multiple hour window between that. It is a completely separate process. My warm up for my practice is equally mental as it is physical. Um, I kind of do a very simple shooting the practice bots. I cannot talk. Shooting the practice bots um, in their kind of static state from one side of the range to the other, and trying to speed up and go as quickly as I can. I'm not making looking for it to be perfect, but I do want to get my um, AD and shoot down. I am trying to somewhat dead zone. Um, and move left to right. I will do that until I feel comfortable with my dead zoning and with my aim and with my movement um, from a physical standpoint. From a mental standpoint, I actually take a moment to remind myself after I've done the physical warm up to remind myself what my focus is, what my targets are, acknowledging if the warm up feels off, and what I can do to kind of combat that or just sometimes you just accept that you're kind of having an off day and that's okay as well. Um, but I do try to force correct the physical by reminding myself mentally what I'm trying to do within the drills. And right now, for example, one of the things I'm trying to emphasize is patience and taking a moment and not feeling the need to shoot as so quickly. Um, So I'm overcorrecting that, and sometimes I'm taking extra long. So as I go into kind of the practice drill, which some of them are speed based, um, actually all of them seem to be somewhat speed based. They're all speed based. There are times when during the situation I'm in now, where I'm focusing on patience, that the practice will take a little bit longer than normal. And right now that's okay, and I'll get back to um, being faster or completing the drills faster after this kind of subset, this side quest is complete. So just a little bit about warm up there. For the drills, and actually, I did a video recently of my current practice routine, which I'll link here, assuming I remember to do that. I'll put it in the description either way. That kind of shows what I do and how I do it. But this may be able to add a little bit more kind of context to those things. So, high level, right? I have set thresholds for these three drills that I'm currently doing. My threshold lets me know that I can move on. And I don't stop doing that routine or that drill until I've completed my threshold. So, there's a mentality behind that, and again, I'll talk about that in a moment. But really quickly, so I do medium bots, overflick, so the same as the gold routine, and my goal is to be at 25 or higher with the Vandal. I don't do the benchmark with the Marshal. Sorry, with the Sheriff. I'm actually doing all of this with the Vandal, and I'm looking to hit 25 with medium bots overflick. The second drill is an eliminate 50, and I stand in the default area, kind of where you would actually hit the start, where you would shoot start. And my goal is to be at 54 or better with an eliminate 50 at the default area. Again, the video kind of explain it, but I'm looking um, to somewhat dead zone, to overflick or underflick, and try to make my movements as smooth as possible. And then the last one is eliminate 50, but I jump in the middle of the range, and I'm constantly moving back and forth and trying to be as active as I can, but also making sure that I'm not shooting until the crosshairs on the head, right? So, but I'm still dead zoning and attempting to keep that up, but it's less in front of me and more all around me. My goal with that is to be at 65 seconds or faster with it. So when I'm doing these drills, I think there's a couple things. There's a mentality that I want to talk about, but also kind of a mid drill reflection and even post drill reflection. So while I'm doing these drills, I'm asking myself, what am I feeling? How are things going? And there was a comment, I think, in one of woohoojin's recent videos. This is March, so I think it was in a March video, um, about like having tense hands and how that can hurt. I recognize that in my drills, and I don't start over when I recognize that. I am looking to actively relax in the middle of the drill because that's what would happen in a game. So I'm trying to fix that drill immediately. Um, Recognizing the blue bars on the shooting error graph mid drill. I'm going to shoot and I'm going to take a look, and you can tell, you can feel it now after so many months of playing, like when the bullet didn't go the way you wanted it to, and it's because of movement error. So I'm trying to fix those things. Obviously, my focus right now is going too fast, so I'm trying to slow that down. And a big part of recognizing if I'm accomplishing my focus is that shooting error graph. Um, and there's some other things with DMs. I also will, after the drills, go and do three DMs. Um, the kind of things I focus on in the DMs, it's the same focus. It's slowing down. It's doing all these things. It's peaking. It's all that. But my mid DM reflections are always my W peaks. I'm still W peaking. It's a hard habit to break, but part of that again is slowing down and not feeling like I need to get there. Um, there's a complaint that I read a lot about people feeling like they get shot in the back often in DMs. Well, part of that is recognizing, are you looking at the mini map when you're respawning and paying attention to who's close to you? It's not always going to work, but it actually will reduce that a lot. And when I see myself getting hit multiple times, spawning and dying, I actually recognize that I'm not looking at the mini map enough upon respawn. So things I try to fix in the middle of it, of the DM. I don't have thresholds for DMs. My goal is to feel comfortable with how I moved and how I um, dead zoned and how I did those things. Um, but I'll talk a little bit about DMs after the next piece. So post drill reflections, as I recognized that I had tense hands or I was moving too much and I needed to slow down, or even the DMs with the WPs. My one major post drill reflection is to stop. Don't immediately go and redo it, but to almost pseudo meditate. Take breaths, relax yourself, realign your focus like you did at the beginning of the practice session after warm ups. Um, don't get frustrated with the fact that you didn't do it the way you wanted to. Um, Try to do it correctly the very next time, but try to be overly, um, what's the right word? Overly, I guess, specific. Another word I want to use there about the very next drill. For DMs, I actually have something that I try to look at. It's a personal thing that I do, but in Tracker, I can see what my average kills per game is. And I'm always trying to beat that number. So right now it's sitting at 27.6 or something like that. So I'm looking to do my three drills appropriately and with these methodical approaches, but also hit that 28 or higher as I go through. I don't consider that good or bad if I do or don't hit it, but it is a personal kind of something for me to aim for. Finally, I said I wanted to talk about a look forward at where I'm trying to get to within my routine. So I'll go back over some of the drills that I'm doing and what my current threshold is, but what I actually want my threshold to get to. Um, the mentality behind this is always that I want to be better than I am today, and there is a hard target at the end of all of this. So from where I am now to where I want to be, that's the work I still have to do. And being reminded of that within your practice, you can still you can still feel successful in meeting your current targets, even though they're not where you want to be, because you're slowly continuing to get to where you want to be. So I'll kind of remind. So the medium bots overflick, um, 25 is my current target. Where I want to be is hardbots 20 or better. Hardbots 20 or better with overflick um, for that drill is my end target. For the eliminate 50 at the default, where again you would hit the start button, currently is 54 seconds or better. I eventually want to be able to do eliminate 100 at 90. Um, and I'll do the last one for the eliminate 50 in the middle of the range that is currently 65 seconds. My goal is to do again eliminate 100, but at 100 seconds in the middle of the range. So the shift from the 50 to 100, um, taking that into kind of consideration, going from 50 at 54 to 100 means that my best right now is 108. So what I'll have to do first is get to 45 of eliminate 50. And then once I'm able to do that consistently, then I'll start doing eliminate 100 and try to be able to do the same speed, the 45 seconds, but do it for twice as long. And the same thing with the middle of the range. Right now, 65 seconds means that 130 is my best. And then going to eliminate 100, I want to get that down to 100, 100 seconds. And then finally for DMs, I have this kind of target of always beating my current average kills per game or whatever kills per DM. But my actual where I want to get to is I want to be winning 10% of my DMs. That's a target that I know is plausible. Actually, all of these targets I know are possible. I've seen them be accomplished in some way, shape, or form, and I know that's something that I can somebody can physically do, and that makes me strive to aim for those targets. Um, so kind of just going into that, like the mentality behind setting these targets and always trying to improve toward them is literally the idea that I have more to grow, I have more to learn, I have more to improve, and that's a constant reminder that I'm not where I want to be, and a constant reminder that I need to continue to try hard, try hard, try hard, even in the practices. Um, a little bit of, I guess, detail for that. When I originally started doing the Eliminate 50, I was hitting 70 seconds from the default area. So I've gone from 70 down to 54 within whatever since November. Middle of the range, I was also over 70. I think it was like 75 or 80 when I was originally doing them. There was an initial kind of rapid improvement, but then I've kind of plateaued and I'm having to find ways to um, continue improving on it. One thing that's really interesting is I found that I do better when I slow down. And this is going to sound weird, but I have to somehow figure out how to slow down faster. And that's the only way that I'm going to be able to improve on it. So that's my mechanical, I guess, speed bump, as it were, with my practices. All right, well, that does it. The family's coming home, so you're going to hear them in the background now as I close this up. But that was a little bit about kind of where I come from, where my mentality is driven from, and how woohoojin has been kind of the impetus for um, aligning my ability to focus to a set process or set strategy. A little bit also about the my drills, my warm up, the drills, the DMs that I do, and the thresholds that I have set for myself, as well as how I kind of reflect on um, the things I'm doing in the moment as well as afterwards, and how I adjust and realign as needed. And then finally, the kind of how I'm where I'm trying to get to and why I've set the thresholds that I have, and how I kind of remind myself that I have a lot more to do and a lot more to drive for, and where that fire kind of comes from to keep improving. Hopefully, this has been helpful and useful, and um, good luck in your pursuits. A little bit for the future, I plan on doing a few more of these. The next topic is around time management and how I kind of schedule my life, and I'm able to get these things done still, um, having a family and a job and other responsibilities. So hopefully that's interesting, and I will look to try to put that out next week. If you have suggestions or ideas or things you'd like to know more about, or even for this episode, if there's things that would be you'd like a little more color around, please comment, and I'll try to get back to you on that. Thank you all for hanging out, and good luck in your games.